Hi, everyone. This is Coach Linda Hillman, and I'm actually coming to you with Friday's edition of Glimpses of Destiny. And today I'm going to talk to you about um, what's the next step? What's my first step? Now, we've talked about what's the pain, we've talked about what's the resolution, we talked about why am I stuck, we talked about what's the process, and then the fifth question in the transition of questions that you would need to ask yourself is what is my next step? Because again, you can't do anything unless you take a step. And so, let me just close this door. Sorry about that. And so you want to um, take a step. And I think the best way to do it is kind of regurgitate. I know that sounds like an awful word, but regurgitate something that I just recently saw. Denzel Washington was speaking at University of Pennsylvania, and he said some wonderful things that just kind of line up with what I was going to say today. And so I'm going to kind of intertwine what he said in along with what I'm going to tell you today, because again, the whole point about it is you got to take a step. How do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. How do you start a journey of 1,000 steps? You got to take one step. There always has to be a first step. But what I want to talk to you about is fear. False evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. That will hinder us and stop us from doing a lot of things. And Denzel Washington said, instead of falling back, instead of having something to fall back on, you want to have a fall forward moment, if you will. You want to fall forward. And so the only thing that should be behind you, pushing you, is your faith. Not your fear pushing you back, but your faith pushing you forward. And so you only want to fall back on your faith, and your faith is what going to push you forward. And so what I want to talk to you today about is taking that first step. Some of you are in business and you need to restructure your business, or maybe you're just thinking about getting into business. Maybe you're changing your life. Maybe you're trying to get into a relationship. Whatever your situation is, you are thinking about making a transition from one place to another. You're trying to get from where you are to where you want to be. And so you need to make a step, but you can't be afraid. You can't allow fear to stop you from taking a step. And the way Denzel said it, and again, I'm giving him his props because it was something that he said and it was just so meaningful. He said, do you have the guts to fail? You have the training, you have the talent, you have the know how, you have the desire. All of that leads to success. But do you have the guts to fail? Do you have the guts to try something and admit, you know what, that wasn't it? Yeah. I want you to think about that, because in your journal, you're going to journal about what is my first step? What is the process that I need to take? So you already have the process. So now you got to put it into practical little piece bits, a little small steps, if you will, baby steps to get you from where you are to where you want to be. So you got to take a step. And if you're not willing to take a risk, if you're not willing, Einstein saying doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results, is absolutely insanity. So you want to try something different, and you want to get in it and do something that's going to cause you to have success. You want to get in it and do something that's going to bring success to you. Now, we already know that God has decreed and declared some things over you, but if you operate in fear, which is the opposite of faith, if you operate in fear, you're never going to accomplish what God has decreed over you. Okay? Remember my first little session, I showed this, and it says, for I know the thoughts, the plans I have for you. There are plans that are already in motion. He journaled them already, and they're already on the piece of paper. It's already a done deal. It already belongs to you. But you are so afraid to fail. You're so afraid to take that step. And so Denzel says, do you have the guts to fail? If you don't fail, you're not even trying. What about that saying? And I used to didn't really like this saying, but after hearing what he said, I'm like, you know what, that saying might just be true. You want to try and try until you succeed. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Why? Because you have to embrace failure. You have to embrace that things are not going to go the way you want them to go. You're going to have to embrace that people might laugh at you. You might fall flat on your face. People might look at you and say, what in the world are you doing? It looks like you're just sitting there doing nothing. But if it's a dream that you have, then you've got to go after it with everything you've got. You've got to trust the God in you. You've got to trust your faith. You've got to put some trust in your ability that God has given you, because that's who gave you the ability. You can do all things through Christ, which strengthens you. I don't see anywhere in the Word of God that He does not back up this thought process of trying. He told Abraham, leave your country. Leave everywhere where you're comfortable. Leave your country and go to a country, I don't even know the name of it, but go to a country that's builder and maker is God. Well, where is that country? You don't know. Just keep walking north. Everywhere you put your feet, I'm going to give it to you. Your descendants are going to be like the stars and the sands. But when Abraham died, he just had a handful of kids. Now he can see he has nations under his belt. He did have the descendants. God did fulfill his promise. But sometimes it's not going to be what we think it's going to be. It's not going to look the way we think it's going to look. Sometimes we're going to have to fail. We're going to have to fall flat on our face and look stupid and look like we don't know what we're doing, like we're walking around in circles. Like, did you really hear from God? Is God really telling you to do that? It's just going to be that way. Today I had a miraculous thing happen in my life. But I had to trust God, because on Sunday I didn't know where it was coming from. On Monday, didn't know where it was coming from. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and had no clue that on Friday morning at 4:38 there was going to be a miracle occur while I was sleeping. Come on, somebody. While I was sleeping, because I'm finding myself putting myself in situations where, you know what, God, if you don't do it, it just can't be done. Yes, I have talent. Yes, I have the ability. Yes, I have the desire. Yes, I have the faith. But God, if you don't step up and make this prosperous, my company will be a failure. My life will be a failure. So I put myself out there on the limb, and God came through. And it wasn't just in the nick of the time, because I wasn't even expecting it. But God came through. Because God is able to fulfill his word in you if you put your life in his hands. If you say, by faith, I'm going to walk this out. By faith, I'm going to do this. By faith. I might look silly to the world, but by faith. My God. Do you have the guts to fail? Do you have the guts to fall flat on your face because you want to start your own business, because you want to get into a relationship, because you want to go back to school, because you want that promotion, because you want that raise, because you want to live a life of purpose, because you want to walk in your destiny? He gave 3 points, and I want to give these same 3 points, and then, I can sit here and talk about this all day, so I'm going to bring myself in and not be here all day. But let me say, he gave 3 points. He quoted Nelson Mandela, and I want to do the same. He says Nelson Mandela says, there is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you are capable of living. What did Marianne Williams say? I believe that's her last name. What did she say? We are our greatest fear. Our greatest fear is that we might just be somebody. His point number 1 says, you will fail at some point in your life, but don't quit and don't fall backwards. fall forward. He also said, if you don't fail, you're not even trying. His third point was, sometimes it's the best way to figure out where you're going. Sometimes you've got to have doors close in your face. You got to have things not work out so you know, oops, that's not it. I thought that was my dream, but that's not it. Let me try this door. Oops, that's not it. I thought that was my dream. Let me try this door. Don't get bogged down with the failure. Look, Thomas Edison, we all know him to have created the light bulb, and he did a whole bunch of other inventions. But not every invention that he tried to set out to make happened the first time. I don't know any of his inventions that happened the first time. With the light bulb, he tried 1,000 times, and the 1,001st time he got the light bulb. Look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan says, you know, he failed a whole lot more than he succeeded. But we remember the successes. People are going to remember your successes. Why? Because they're going to remember. I remember she was in that for a long time. And then all of a sudden she got her first paycheck. All of a sudden he got his first, yes, he got his, you know, he went in and got that promotion. He went in and he did this. She went in, she did that. They're going to remember what you did and not what you didn't do. History tells us that people will forget the failures when you make a success. Yeah, they hold it over your head now. Yeah, they beat your brow with it now. But you believe in the God in you. You believe that you have purpose and you have destiny, and you walk in that, and you don't allow anyone to take that from you. You know, today I woke up, and every day is a good day. But today I woke up knowing that, you know, hey, things are running a little slow and I was a little sluggish. But then when I saw that, I got juiced and pumped, and I was like, wow, God, while I was sleeping, you were working in my behalf. My God. While I was sleeping, God was working some things out for me. Because I've been faithful to him. Because I've been faithful to the dream that he gave me. I've been faithful to the destiny. And you know what? People are talking about me. Yes, they are. They're thinking I'm crazy. They're thinking it ain't going to happen. But God just showed me if I'm faithful, he may close one door, 2 doors, 10 doors, but that 11th door is mine. You remember that. You be blessed and encouraged. Remember, only those that can see the invisible can achieve the impossible. Till Monday.